So I'm deciding to record this ad hoc live, just kind of as I do things, because I gave this routine to someone I was coaching and then figured it might be useful to more people, so I figured I'd record a quick video, show off this little training routine, and then hopefully it helps people. So training routine, I usually do 15 minutes long. It's 3 sort of exercises. I do 5 minutes of each. You can do longer. I wouldn't go much longer than an hour's worth of training, even if you're really intense, because it'll become more harmful than it's worth. But if you don't have time, you know, something is always better than nothing. So even if it's 1 minute each at 3 minutes total training, then you should do that rather than not do any of it at all. This training is really focused on the fundamentals, getting the subconscious stuff that needs to be happening on its own to happen, and to really just focus on the basics so you don't have to worry about them later. The first exercise starts down here. We're in VR training right now, down here in the center bay, against these life-size targets on the wall. The goal here is to work on our fundamentals one by one, starting from the top. So to begin with, we need to make sure our bursting is on point. Obviously aim for the head. Burst your entire mag, and you can see I'm garbage, but burst your entire mag, so you're basically hitting the dummy's head over and over again. You should be able to pretty consistently landing in and around the head area for an entire mag, bursting properly. If you don't know how to burst properly, there's tons of videos out. Shrimp has a really good one out, and you could always ask one of the coaches as well, but obviously feathering the trigger, trying to make sure your bursts have a rhythm. I got a little out of control there. I'm out of practice, whatever. I just got on. But you want to keep it on the head as much as possible. Obviously, the closer you are, the easier it'll be, so try to pick a mid-range to make it hard for yourself. Too far, though, and it'll become pretty negligible because bloom still happens. But then we just keep on adding the fundamentals. Since we have bursting, then we add our movement, which is strafing and crouching, into the mix. And basically we just want to do everything right for a full mag into this dummy's head. So strafing, crouching, and bursting all at the proper intervals into this dummy's head. And then you just do that basically for 5 minutes. It just means that your bursting and your crouching and your strafing are going to get better and better, and you'll sort of improve over time. This is good focus practice. Remember to do this on live still. Even if you think it's an easy kill, you know, still aim for the head, still strafe, still crouch, it's good habits. And it's more likely to happen without you thinking about it when you're in a pressured situation. So I would highly recommend just sitting and doing this for a while. If you're feeling pretty advanced, if you feel like you've got this down, there's a couple of ways you can make this exercise more difficult. If you're at the point in your movement where you can do this, don't do the typical disco step. Make your movement erratic, throw in a couple of weird crouches, stand still for a second, you know, make your movement unpredictable rather than following a certain pattern. And if you can do that, you know, you should also train that as well. The other way to increase the difficulty of this drill is to start target switching as well. So I can start on one head for half the clip and move to the other head for the second half. Looks something like this. Easy peasy. And just doing this for 5 minutes warms you up, gets your bursting on point, gets your rhythm back, finds your strafing and crouching rhythm as well. And you just want to make sure you can do everything in tandem, because the rhythm of clicking and strafing and crouching is hard until you get it. I understand there's a lot of moving parts, so just do this until everything kind of flows and you can do it all at once, and then eventually you'll be able to do it without thinking about it. Alright, that's it for the first exercise. Do that one. It's very good for fundamentals. The second exercise, these bays can be used, or you can use one of the spots I will show you later. Basically, we just do the same thing as the first exercise, but now we have people to shoot at with realistic health, so we're going to need to be target switching faster. but still do all the same fundamentals: bursting, crouching, strafing, yada yada yada. So just kind of go after it. Try to switch from head to head to head. Even shoot your teammates. Obviously, if they're a bit further, you're not going to be able to hit all headshots, but learn the effective range of your gun, and learn how you can kill people the fastest in it. Yes, shoot the friendly targets. It's good practice anyways. The cross will block your view, but that means you just rely on muscle memory, which is good. And you can just do this for 5 minutes, killing dummies while practicing making sure you're moving, crouching, and strafing properly. The huge mistake I see people make is they just sit still and then just shoot dummies until their head falls off, I guess. But you need to make sure you're doing all the good habits like you would be in an actual gunfight. Strafing, crouching, cursing, the like. Quick tip, if you are in the middle of a reload and you resupply, it still does the reload animation, which you can cancel. If you don't want that reload animation to go, you can quickly switch weapons and then resupply to make it quicker. A couple of advanced things you can sort of do for this. I did it earlier. If you run out of ammo and you didn't finish a target, whip out your Kami or underboss and finish them. Good practice for trying to finish targets you've already lit and switching to the secondary. And the second thing, let's see if I can, yeah, if they're close, you can practice switching from ADS to hip fire, still keeping the same tactics, and just keep shooting bots over and over again. Again, just to make sure you're bursting and strafing and crouching is on point. You should be able to, as long as they're not the furthest back, hit consistent headshots and almost hit only headshots on a mid-range target to kill them in very little bullets. And especially these close ones, you can basically just quad ping them and go on your way. So for this third exercise, we're going to go to one of the bot spots out in the middle of the VR training. You might know them. If you don't, I'll show you the way. But while I'm getting the Sunday and driving out, I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about habits, building good habits and subconscious habits. Basically, everything you do can be made into a habit. In PlanetSide, you want to be having a lot of habits to help you play. Obviously, a good habit, for example, would be to check your minimap. A bad habit would be reloading after every kill when it's sometimes not necessary. So basically what we want to do when we train is reinforce the good habits and get rid of any bad habits. And so when we do this sort of training, we want to be focusing on a specific aspect of our gameplay that we want to make a habit. For example, if your bursting isn't as consistent as you like, when you train, focus on your bursting and get it to be subconscious. Get it to so you don't have to think about it, and then go through one by one. Bursting, crouching, strafing, anything you feel like you need to focus on, just work on it in training and make sure that you get it, while also making sure that you're not accidentally doing any bad habits. So that's why you're always keeping your training as realistic as possible, because if you do something that you wouldn't normally do, it's going to turn into a bad habit. For example, some people count their bullets. Definitely a bad habit, especially in these training environments when it's really easy to hit all your shots because they're not moving, they're not shooting back. If you count your bullets and then you go on live, you're going to shoot some bullets, you're going to miss some, and then you're not going to kill them, and you're just going to die for it. But here we are on the VR training map. We're sort of down here in the middle of these stuff. You saw I drove probably around that line. This is the spot that you want to be if you're not on VS, because all these guys line up in a nice fun line for you. And they're very easy to shoot. But if you are VS, we just go a little further here under this ridge and around the corner to a whole bunch of NC dummies that you can shoot. This is also a decent spot to practice the other two exercises as well if you so desire. I know the firing range can be very busy and live sometimes, so you can come out here. People do know about it. You might find some friendlies here, but most often it's pretty easy. And if all else fails, check out a Jaeger account. Come to Jaeger VR like I did. I'm on my Jaeger account right now. There's nobody ever here. So if you're wanting to practice, exercise 1 can technically be done on the max. First, crouch, strafe properly. You kill them in 1 mag. for most guns, and see if you can do it while keeping your bursting fluid, and see how much effective DPS you can put out while using the right habits. Training kind of thing too, you can just shoot these guys over and over using the right stuff, target switching, yada yada yada. But exercise 3 is different than the other two. We're going to practice using the client side advantage and peeking properly, because this is a problem I see with a lot of you. It requires some strategic bus placement. Just try to get it as close as possible to a lot of them. And so using your bus as cover, pretending your bus is a wall, what we can do is practice the peek, the proper peek that you should have been taught, and using client side to your advantage on targets. Often I see people with decent aim, decent fundamentals, and even find 1v1s have trouble in live. This is because they don't really know how to take their fights, and this will teach you and give you muscle memory on how to take your fights. You know, you should be peeking, ADSing when you round the corner, throwing in a micro crouch, and peeking. This can also help you practice pieing an angle and taking angles close or far. As you can see, the farther I am, the easier it is to take one target at a time. The closer I am, the harder it is. It's easy to overstrafe and make myself visible to all of them. Peek from both sides, and use it. And then sit here for 5 minutes, practice your peeking. Try to peek only one target at a time if you want. And there's one up there. And this will practice your peek sort of mechanic, where, you know, proper peeking. It also sort of practices your pre-aiming and crosshair placement, because if you know where these guys are, and it isn't regular, it's not super easy because the terrain, you can sort of pre-aim your crosshair, so you come out aiming on their head every time, and that will be beneficial to practice as well. And obviously you have a bus to refill your ammo and get here. That's basically all I got. 3 exercises, 5 minutes each, is what I do. I don't do it all the time, but especially when I'm trying to learn a new gun or try to refamiliarize myself with a gun that I haven't used in a while, I definitely just hop on VR training. And those are productive VR training exercises to do, because there's a ton of unproductive ones. And I understand that you want to go shoot people, real people, but you know, spend a bit of time in the VR training using these productive training exercises, and I promise you will see the results of it improving your fundamentals. Alright.